What if your greatest love is also your greatest risk? Welcome to part 6 of Dangerous Games, the emotionally charged second chance romance from USA Today, best-selling author T.K. Leigh. In this heart-stirring installment, love is no longer just a feeling, it's a battlefield. The stakes have never been higher, and the line between passion and pain blurs with every revelation. As secrets unravel and past wounds resurface, our characters must decide whether love is worth the fight or whether the cost is simply too great. This is a story of redemption, vulnerability, and the kind of love that doesn't come easy but is impossible to forget. If you've been following this journey, Part 6 will pull you even deeper into the emotional storm, where every moment matters and every choice could change everything. Can two broken hearts finally find peace, or will dangerous games tear them apart for good? Hit play now and discover how far love is willing to go, even when everything is on the line. Chapter 39. How was it? Mi amor, Mama asks as I remove my napkin from my lap, placing it on top of my empty plate. You know I love your lasagna, and I told you, you don't have to cook for me. She pushes back from the table, waving me off. Hush, you're my daughter. I can cook, too. Don't even worry about it. Papa interjects in his deep, booming voice. Your mother and I are retired. We have nothing but free time on our hands. You work 50 hours a week. Let us take care of you again. I hate depending on you guys. You're not. Mama insists. You're familia. Plus, you know how your mother is. She doesn't know how to cook for just 2 people. You're doing me a favor by living here and eating all the food she makes. He pats his stomach, but he's still in as great a shape as he's always been, despite the passing of years. I must admit, it's been refreshing to be back with my parents these past several weeks. I'm sure the novelty will wear off soon. Hopefully, I'll be in a better place financially by then. My plan is to save everything I can over the next few months, then return every cent I received from Jesse. I'm not doing it to earn Asher's favor. That ship has sailed. I need to clear my conscience. Then I can finally start my next chapter. Since you put it that way, I'm more than happy to help you out. Papa, I wink. I knew I could count on you. Isabella, what are daughters for? There's a brief pause at the table before he says, Speaking of which, any more news on figuring out who was behind your birth mother's disappearance? I shake my head. The FBI had to move resources away from this and to more pressing matters, ones with more concrete evidence. How did Avery take the news? Ever since I announced I wanted to find my birth mother, my parents have supported me completely. More so once I found out her identity and shifted my attention to solving the mystery behind her disappearance. She wishes she had come forward sooner with what she knew. She can't help but think how many girls she could have saved if she had. She had more than just herself to think about. Trust me. He covers my hand with his. When you have a child, your focus shifts. You make your decisions with one purpose in mind, protecting them. If I were in her shoes, I would have done the same thing. As an outsider faced with the decision to save 100 lives or one, you'd no doubt opt to save 100. But when that one life is your child, his eyes well with tears as he squeezes my hand. Well, that life is more valuable than even 100,000 lives. And I'll forever be grateful your birth mother thought so, too. I stand and walk over to the head of the table, wrapping my arms around him from behind. Thanks for choosing me. It was never a choice. The second we arrived at the hospital to pick up our new foster, and I saw your mother's eyes light up, I knew you'd never be leaving us. The doorbell rings, and I release my hold on him, allowing him to stand to answer the door. He leans down, kissing my temple. Love you, butterfly. Love you, Papa. I watch as he leaves the dining room, then gather the plates together and carry them into the kitchen. Mama, stop. I'll clean up, I say, nudging her away from the sink. I can do it. I know you can, but you should go relax with Papa. I turn on the faucet, rinsing off a dish. Isabella, there's someone here to see you. My father's voice makes me turn and I stiffen, inhaling a sharp breath. The shock of the man standing there causing me to drop the wine glass in my hand, which shatters the second it hits the floor. Crap. I'm sorry. Jesse reacts quickly, lowering himself to his knees to help pick up the shards surrounding my bare feet. Don't you worry about any of this. Jesse, dear, Mama says. I should hate her use of that term of endearment toward him, especially after I told her everything that transpired between Asher, Jesse, and me. But Mama was always a practical person, able to see both sides of a story with clarity. While she may not have liked how Jesse handled the situation, we did hurt him. We all hurt each other. Every single one of us carries blame with this mess. Mama shoos him away with the dustpan, and he straightens once he's certain all the glass has been cleared. Do you? He scrubs a hand through his hair. Can we talk? Talk. I cross my arms over my chest. You did more than enough talking the last time we saw each other. Don't you think, please? Izzy? He implores. I take a minute to survey him. The confident, composed man is nowhere to be seen. Sure, he still wears an impeccable three-piece suit, but he doesn't carry it as he usually does. There are a few wrinkles in the fabric, his tie loosened, his eyes are bloodshot, dark circles around them. His hair has grown out more than I ever recall him wearing it, and the beginning of a 5 o'clock shadow is visible along his jawline. This isn't the same Jesse I dated. Hell, this isn't even the same Jesse who destroyed everything mere weeks ago. You have every right to kick me out. After what I did, I deserve it. I can't sleep. He raises his red-rimmed eyes to mine. I need to make this right. I glower at him, wanting to refuse, but I know how it feels. I've been in this same place myself these past several weeks. It's a kind of purgatory I'd never wish on my worst enemies. The only thing that's kept me from having a breakdown has been the hope that someday Asher York will be no more than someone I used to know. That there won't be this heart-crushing ache consuming every inch of my body. I have to believe I'll find my own version of happiness, even if it won't hold a torch to what I felt with Asher. Okay, I agree reluctantly. Then walk through the living room and out the front door, Jesse following close behind. A gust of wind hits me, splatter from the rain steadily falling dotting my bare arms, causing a shiver to roll through me. It's not bitter cold, considering it is July, but the rain causes a damp chill to run through me that my tank top doesn't do much to protect me from. I head to the far end of the covered porch and lower myself onto the swing. Jesse starts to sit beside me, but before he does, he shrugs out of his suit jacket, draping it around my shoulders. Same Jesse, always offering the shirt off your back to a girl in need. He smiles a sad smile. Same Isabella, never dressing appropriately for the weather. I pull my lips between my teeth, a myriad of emotions filling me: rage, frustration, betrayal, sadness, but also love. Despite it all, I still love Jesse, just not the way I once thought I did. Izzy. I listen. Jesse. I say at the same time. We both pause, then laugh. Normally, I'd be all chivalrous and say ladies first, but I can't do that this time. I need to get this off my chest. I give him a subtle nod. He shifts his gaze forward, pulling his lip between his teeth. He doesn't say anything for several moments. The summer downpour the only sound. I fucked up. No, I interject vehemently. We did. We never. He holds up his hand, cutting me off. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when we first met. When we first met, Do you know why I first approached you? He runs his hands along his pants, something I've rarely seen him do, if ever, because you saw me at a party. That's only half true. I did see you at that party, but that was after Asher had already told me about you. About me. Not by name, But he'd mentioned a girl who'd been at a few of his gigs, asked me to come down to the club one night as moral support, that he was going to perform a song he'd written for this girl who'd caught his eye. He chuckles slightly as his gaze shines with nostalgia. Said he hadn't even spoken to her, didn't even know her name. I thought he was crazy, thought no one in their right mind would go through all that trouble for someone they'd never spoken to. He swallows hard, turning his head toward me. When I saw the look on Asher's face as he admired you that first time he performed Amante, I knew he wasn't just a horny 20-something-year-old who wrote a song to impress a girl in the hopes of getting laid. It was more than that, deeper than that, but that still didn't stop me. Stop you from what I asked timidly. He hangs his head, his shoulders falling. Then he returns his eyes to mine, seeking you out. At first, I was more curious than anything, but I don't know. The corners of his mouth curve into a smile. I saw you sitting all alone outside the rugby house in 40-degree weather and couldn't not offer you my jacket. So I did. Then I asked why I wasn't inside partaking in drunken debauchery like everyone else. He nods. To which you responded, you had absolutely no desire to be around hormone-crazed teenagers who concocted some strange variation of never have I ever and spin the bottle as an excuse to hook up. He chuckles. You went on this whole tirade. How if you were interested in someone, you wouldn't go through the trouble of making up some game so you could get laid, that you'd approach them and tell them. Laughter rolls through me as I peer into the distance, recalling that night. You sat with me for hours. When my roommate finally reappeared from whatever room she'd been hooking up in, you refused to let me get into the car with her, offered to drive us back to the dorm. I almost didn't. He confesses. I knew I should walk away right then and there, knew what I was about to do would kill Asher if he found out. Granted, he'd never pointed you out to me, but I knew you were the one he wrote about. I saw the way he looked at you, so I kept telling myself it was just a ride home. And it was. You were a complete gentleman. Nothing I did was something a gentleman would do. Asher and I have always had a standing agreement. Never fall for the same girl. If we learned we thought the same girl was hot, we'd both walk away. Made a promise to each other that our relationship was more important than any piece of ass. No offense, none taken. Despite that promise, do you know what I did? Remaining mute, I shake my head. I told him not to talk to you yet, and your reason for that. My words come out shaky. He lifts his remorseful gaze to mine, his lips a tight line, to give me more time with you. I wasn't stupid. I'm still not. I couldn't compete with Asher. I've never been able to. Once girls realized he played guitar and could sing, I was no longer of any interest. Just once. I wanted the girl. It sounds immature now, but all my life, I felt like I was living in Asher's shadow. Mom and Dad always told everyone how gifted he was with his music. Then there was me. What could they say? Oh, Jesse, he really knows how to punch those numbers into a calculator. Is that why you never wanted to go to the club with me? Because Asher would see us together. He slowly nods. And why I waited to introduce you to my family. But I figured our annual Thanksgiving dinner up at Graham's place would be the perfect way to do that. I'd have a buffer between Asher and me in case he realized what I'd done. I stare forward, seeing that first Thanksgiving through a different lens now that I know the truth. That he only started dating me as some adolescent competition with his brother. That night, I murmur, then look at Jesse. Do you remember what you told me right before we went inside? He licks his lips, his Adam's apple bobbing in a hard swallow. That I loved you. Did you mean it? Or did you only say that because of what you knew was about to happen? I wish I could tell you I love you more fiercely than I've ever loved anyone, but I can't. I did love you, still do, but my love has never measured up to what you deserve. It's juvenile. I see that now, but all I cared about was finally having something he didn't. Something I knew he wanted. I nod, swallowing hard through the thickness in my throat. And when you proposed, This shouldn't matter. But it's not me I hurt for. It's Asher. This doesn't sound like the actions of the man I promised to marry. Jesse always seemed mature beyond his years. I knew him to be somewhat manipulative, but I'd written that off as him being a great negotiator. I never could have imagined he'd be capable of this level of deception. And to his own brother. I only did that because you two were spending so much time together at Graham's lake house. You didn't even come up to bed with me. You stayed up all night with Asher. You guys had a bond, a connection. I saw it the first time I brought you home and introduced you to him. But that summer, I felt you slipping farther and farther away, toward him. So I proposed. Even though you didn't love me like you should have, he nods. Even though I didn't love you like I should have, he repeats. And I'm so sorry. I lied to you for years. I lied to you too. I made you think you broke my heart, that it was your fault we broke up, when in reality, you were in love with Asher. Nothing you said or did would have kept me yours. I explain. I think we both know you were never mine. He pinches his lips into a tight line. And that's why I'm here. To fix this. I'm not sure anything can ever fix this. I exhale. I need to at least try. What do you mean? He stands, then smiles down at me. There are a couple backstage passes in the inside pocket. He nods to the jacket he draped around my shoulders. We're playing up in Boston tomorrow night. I penciled in a 15-minute interview with a member of the press, he explains, using air quotes. Pulling back the jacket, I reach into the inside pocket. Sure enough, there are 2 laminated passes. I raise myself to my feet, brows scrunched. I don't understand. You want me to talk to Asher after everything. I thought you'd be happy if I never saw him again. He threads his fingers through his hair, then looks up at the night sky before returning his eyes to mine. At first, but my happiness came at the price of Asher's. Does he know I ask in a quiet voice? The truth about how you met me. He does now. The guilt ate away at me. So, after watching him mope around for a week, I finally told him. I expel a breath, yet he still sent back the origami doves. I think he's confused and hurt. Maybe. He sucks in his lower lip. Maybe he needs to see you again. The choice is yours. I wanted to give you the opportunity. What you do with it is up to you. So, are you okay, Asher and me? I nod. We'll be okay. It's not the same, but we're sorting it out. You're still his manager. He said it was up to me, but we both know there's no one else out there who cares about him like I do. He lowers his voice. Except for you. I force a smile, straightening my spine. I'm glad you were able to work things out. We are. Now I need to fix us. He gestures between our bodies. And the 2 of you. Hopefully it's not too late for that. Chapter 40. Nervous Nora asks as we make our way through the arena in Boston, following the directions Jesse gave me toward the backstage dressing room area. I'm not sure I would have done this if she hadn't agreed to come with me as moral support. The pounding of my heart fighting for attention with the drummer of the opening act, currently on stage. I nod quickly. I can still back out, approach Asher somewhere else, somewhere on neutral ground. But he needs to know I'll do whatever it takes to win him back, even if that means showing up backstage at one of his concerts. You have no idea. We skirt past roadies wearing headsets, one of them carrying what I recognize to be one of Asher's black acoustic guitars. Just knowing it's recently been strapped to Asher's body. My fingers long to reach out and touch it. What are you going to say to him? Nora's question snaps my attention back to her. I'm not sure. I want him to know I'll always love him. That I always have loved him. That I also love him enough to let him go. If that's what he truly wants. Hopefully it won't come to that. I hope so, too, I say, as Jesse rounds the corner with a man of average height and build. sporting what I've learned to be the unspoken uniform of Rhodey's dark t-shirt, cargo shorts, and heavy work boots. "Oh, good. You found it," Jesse begins, then turns to the man at his side. "Izzy, this is Tom, the production manager. Tom, this is Isabella Nolan. She's scheduled for a brief meeting with Mr. York. He's expecting her." Then he looks at me. "He'll show you where you need to go while I give Nora a tour." He holds his elbow out to her. "You got this." She squeezes my bicep, then loops her arm through Jesse's. "This way." Tom continues through the corridors. This time, I don't marvel at the excitement of being backstage at a concert. My focus is on one thing and one thing only: Asher. He leads me down another hallway, this one much quieter. The floor carpeted instead of being bare cement. Every door is marked with names of the bands I recognize to be Asher's opening acts. Finally, we approach the end of the hallway, the door labeled Asher York. Butterflies flap in my stomach when Tom brings his hand up and knocks lightly. "Mr. York, your interview is here." I hold my breath, my limbs jittery. It's been 6 weeks since I've last seen him, and he peered upon me with utter disgust and animosity. Am I ready for him to look upon me with the same distaste, as much as I'm desperate to see the love he once had for me? I need to do this, need to put it all on the line, send them in, not her, not him. Makes me think Asher isn't exactly expecting me. A fact I confirm when Tom opens the door and I step inside, meeting Asher's eyes. He stiffens in surprise, but thankfully, he doesn't kick me out, just stares, mouth agape, chest rising and falling in a faster pattern. "Call if you need anything." I lift my pleading gaze to Asher, bracing myself for him to tell Tom to get me out of here, that I'm not welcome. But he doesn't, and Tom retreats, closing the door behind him. I don't move, just study him. His eyes are duller than they were last time I saw him. His hair and unshaven jaw, coupled with his fitted t-shirt and torn jeans, give him that same seductive, disheveled look, making him appear sexy as hell. But there's something missing. My Asher is missing. I'm probably the last person you want to see. I begin in a soft voice. "You've got that right." He leans his acoustic guitar against the wall beside him and crosses his arms over his chest, defensive, making no move to offer me the chance to sit beside him on the leather couch. "And I don't blame you for hating me. I hate me for what I've done, too. Which is why I moved back into my parents' house and am saving every penny so I can return the money to Jesse. Still doesn't make what you did okay. You're right, it doesn't. But you want to know the truth." He stays silent. "I don't regret anything that happened. I declare passionately. I don't regret dating Jesse first. Don't regret agreeing to marry him. Don't regret walking away from both of you. Don't regret sleeping with you in Vegas." I swipe at the tears spilling over my eyes. I tried to remain strong, to remain in control of my emotions. But I can't. Not when a future with Asher is on the line. And I certainly do not regret accepting Jesse's offer, because if I hadn't, I never would have seen you again. After Vegas, I didn't want to see you again. Didn't want to put my heart through the ringer again. But those days at Graham's lake house made me realize something. He uncrosses his arms, his expression softening. "What's that?" A sad smile tugs on my lips. That I'd gladly suffer through the worst pain imaginable every day for the rest of my life if it meant I got just one more minute with you. Despite everything, I still love you. I have since the moment I laid eyes on you in the dingy club in Boston. And I'll continue to love you even after I draw my last breath. The fact I may have had an agreement with Jesse doesn't change anything. It doesn't change who we are, what we felt for each other. How could it not? Jumping to his feet, he advances toward me, stopping a breath away. I inhale sharply, his familiar scent wrapping around me. God, I hope this isn't the last time I'll savor in his woodsy aroma that reminds me of late nights at Graham's lake house, building a snowman, cooking dinner together. You were paid to make me believe in something that wasn't there. He chokes out, his own eyes red with emotion. He turns from me, pacing, tugging on his hair. No, I wasn't. My voice is strong, determined, the vein in my neck tight. I was paid to be there. That's it. Everything we shared was real. Everything. My feelings were real. My love was real. And it still is. So much so that I'm willing to walk away. He stills, looking at me, brows furrowed. You are, I nod, swiping away more tears. If you truly believe none of it was real, if you truly believe all the time we spent together was only an illusion, nothing I say or do will convince you otherwise. After all these years, I'm fully aware of how stubborn you are. The tension loosens momentarily as he cracks a light smile. I slowly walk toward him. But if even a small part of you thinks it might have been real, I come to a stop in front of him, grateful when he doesn't retreat. Then let's start over, from the beginning. The beginning exactly, at Sammy's. He closes his eyes as realization washes over him. The club where we first saw each other. I grasp his hands, a spark shooting through me when I feel his calloused skin against mine after so long. If you still feel the connection, I know you did that very first time our eyes met. Come there after your show tonight. He seems to assess my proposal. And if I don't, then I'll walk away. I drop my hold on him, taking a step back. That's how much I love you. Asher. I love you enough to let you go, closing the distance between us. He peers deep into my gaze, the intensity in his stare stripping me bare, exposing all my secrets, lies, truths. He brings a hand up to my cheek, but doesn't touch me. I can see indecision plaguing him, a tumultuous game of tug-of-war raging within his mind. He licks his lips, chest heaving, eyes raking over my face. Yes, I silently implore him to remember everything we've been through, to realize we can have that again, to realize we can have more than that if he'd just give me another chance. He inches closer, focusing on my lips. Yes, I have to get on stage. The buzz instantly disappears, and I whirl around, watching as he opens the door. You can see yourself out. My shoulders fall, a vice squeezing my heart. When he steps into the hallway, he pauses, and I perk up, willing him to look back at me, to rush to me and sweep me into his arms, to forgive me. Instead, he shakes his head and walks away. My knee bounces as I sit in the corner booth of the club I once frequented during my college days. Not much has changed. The bartenders still serve watered-down drinks. The floor is still sticky with spilled beverages. College students still fill the place as they dance to the music being performed by the latest trend in Boston music. I check the time, just as I've done every few minutes for the past several hours. When 11 o'clock rolled around, and I knew the concert should be ending, hope grew inside of me. Every time I noticed the doors open, my eyes darted in their direction, only to be disappointed when it wasn't the man I hoped it would be. Last call, our server says as she approaches. Want anything else? I'm fine, Nora states before looking at me with sad eyes. She's been incredibly supportive all night, cracking jokes to help keep my mind off the likelihood that Asher won't be coming. If it weren't for her, I'd be a complete mess by now. She's kept me grounded, optimistic. But now, that optimism is slowly waning. Maybe I should have pushed harder, thrown myself at Asher's feet, begged for forgiveness. Not given him a way out, a clean slate. Nothing for me, either. I answer with a sigh. Enjoy your evening. When the lights snap on and the bouncers usher everyone outside, I stand and scoot out of the booth, pretending my heart isn't breaking with each step I take out of the club. Nora and I wait a few minutes for our Uber to arrive, which gives Asher a little longer to show up. He never does. Chapter 41. The sun beams through the open curtains of our hotel room in the Copley Square area of Boston, but it does nothing to boost my melancholy mood. I barely slept last night. I'd hoped the threat of me walking away was enough for Asher to realize what was at stake. Maybe he truly does hate me like I feared. I think the Sox are in town. We can try to find some tickets, Nora suggests as she flips through tourist brochures about Boston. I grit out a small smile. I'd normally jump at the opportunity to see a game, but going to Fenway will only remind me of Asher, considering how much he loves the Sox. I'm not in the mood. Fine. She tosses the brochures to the side. Maybe we should just get raging drunk and pass out before 3 o'clock in the afternoon. How does that sound? It's Sunday. You can't get alcohol before noon. Obviously, the fucking Puritans didn't think people would suffer a broken heart in the morning. I flop onto the bed, expelling a long breath. I stare at the ceiling, wishing I hadn't planned to stay in Boston through Monday. We can go home, Nora offers, her voice filled with compassion. Switch our flight to leave today instead of tomorrow. No, I sigh. You've never spent any time up here. You should at least decide which place has the better cannoli mics or modern. She scrunches her nose. Is that supposed to make sense? It will soon. I raise myself to sit. I'll shower and we'll go do something. I drag myself off my bed and head toward the bathroom when my cell rings. I decide to let it go to voicemail, thinking it's Chloe or Evie to offer me words of encouragement. It's Jessie. Nora sings. I pause, glancing over my shoulder at her. Jessie. That's what the caller ID says. My pulse gradually increases as I return to the bed, grabbing my cell. I consider sending him to voicemail, too, but something makes me answer. Hey, Jessie. Izzy. The kindness in his tone is all the evidence I need to know. Asher must have told him what happened. How are you? I force a smile, if only for myself. I'm fine. Are you? I will be. I have to be. It's time to move on. I can't keep putting myself through this. He exhales deeply. I can't fault you there. I was hoping you'd do me a favor, before you move on. What's that? I was talking to Grams this morning. I sort of let it slip you were in town. She'd like to see you. Do you mind suffering through another 3-hour car ride with me up to the lake house? It would mean a lot to her. Don't worry, he adds quickly. It'll just be us. I pull my bottom lip between my teeth. I'd have to talk to Nora. Her hand wraps around my forearm, and I dart my eyes to hers. By her response, I can only assume she's able to overhear my conversation. Go, she whispers. I'll be fine. I cover the microphone. Are you sure? I murmur. Of course. You should spend some time with Grams. You'll regret it if you don't. I pinch my lips into a tight line, then sigh before returning my attention to my phone. Okay, I'll go. Great, Jessie's voice brightens. I'll pick you up in an hour. Looking forward to it. When Jessie pulls his rented SUV onto the unpaved path leading up to Graham's lake house hours later, I can't help but marvel at how different it is from the last time I was here. The trees lining the property are no longer barren but filled with leaves and pine needles, offering plenty of cover against the hot summer sun. There are a few clouds, but instead of the sky being a desolate gray, it's a gorgeous shade of blue. Jessie kills the ignition, then steals a glance at me. I meet his sad eyes, a half-hearted smile crossing his mouth. Let me win one. I furrow my brows, confused, before the meaning of his question sinks in. Our game of who can get to my door faster. Of course. He holds my gaze for a beat, then ducks out of the car, making his way to the passenger door and opening it for me. He offers his hand and helps me down. This moment is bittersweet. I promised I'd move on, but it's still painful to know this is one of the last times Jessie will open the door for me. He rests his palm on my back and steers me up the walkway. I swallow hard as we pass the tree with our initials still carved in the bark. They've faded over the years, but it serves as a reminder of what? Though it's not love, I know the truth now. Maybe friendship. Despite everything, Jesse was always good to me. He always treated me with respect, with decency, apart from the lies. But we all told lies. We all hid secrets. We all buried our truths. Hopefully we'll find the strength to move forward and learn from our mistakes. Grams, Jesse calls out when we step over the threshold and into the foyer. Where are you? He walks into the living room, but there's no sign of her. No sign of anyone. She might be out back. You know how much she loves lying in that hammock during the summer. That I do. I say as a lazy smile pulls on my mouth. I'd lost count of the number of times I walked past her as she snored on the hammock, an open book resting on her face, an empty whiskey glass on the ground below her. I follow Jesse through the quiet house and onto the back deck. My steps are slow as I descend the stairs into the large yard. Ghosts of my past dancing before me, playing volleyball with the entire family, lying on the grass beside Jesse, building a snowman with Asher. This place holds some of my fondest memories, and some of my most painful ones. As we approach the hammock hanging between two mature oak trees, Jessie comes to a stop. She's not here, either. Would she have gone to run some errands? He scrunches his brow. I texted her when we rolled into town. She would have said something. Maybe she's in the music room. She's taken to listening to Asher's album with her headphones on, and the music cranked up while she plays air guitar. My eyes bulge. She does not. She does. I burst out laughing at the image he painted. As crazy as it sounds, I absolutely believe it. I'll take another look through the house. Why don't you stay out here? He gestures toward the lake. I know how much you love this place. I'm about to tell him I'll come with him. The sooner I see Grams, the sooner we can leave, and I can move on with my life. But as I stand beneath the towering trees, with the view of the lake just beyond, a calm I've been searching for washes over me. Okay. He nods. Okay. With a sad smile, he leans down, kissing my forehead, a finality in his gesture. When he pulls away, he locks his gaze with mine for a brief moment before he turns, his step sluggish as he heads up to the house. I watch until he disappears, then exhale a long breath and slowly make my way down to the dock, the wood creaking under my weight as I walk toward the far end. I lower myself, allowing my feet to dangle off the edge. The roar of a boat motor audible in the distance. Waves lap over the rocky shoreline, dragonflies skimming along the water's surface. I inhale a deep breath and close my eyes, savoring the fresh air that can only be described as wet earth. For 2 years of my life, this spot was my heaven, all because of the man who often sat by my side. Opening my eyes, I smile as I glance to my side at the space I left for Asher out of habit. Then I notice something that wasn't there when I sat down mere moments ago. With shaky hands, I reach for it, almost certain it's a hallucination, a vibrant memory of a past I'd give anything to return to. But when the roughness of the folded-up staff paper in the shape of an origami dove touches my skin, my throat closes up. That's not from me. I jump at the familiar voice, my breath catching as I look around. When my gaze falls on Asher's silhouette standing a few yards away, I swallow hard. He looks different than he did last night. His eyes are no longer cold and broken. Instead, they peer at me with longing. It's not I stand on shaky legs. No. He shoves his hands into the pockets of his cargo shorts, advancing toward me with measured steps. With each inch he erases, my heartbeat increases. That one's from Jesse. Jesse. He nods, coming to a stop less than a foot away. I focus on his dark eyes, a myriad of emotions swirling within. An apology for lying to you. About what today? He briefly looks away, shrugging. The confident man who dismissed me so easily last night nowhere to be found. I asked him to set this up. Why I thought he holds up his hand, cutting me off. I need to ask you something. And I need you to be completely honest. Okay, I answer in a drawn-out voice. Did you do it? My brows scrunch together. Do what you said you would last night on a hard swallow. He closes the final bit of space between us, his eyes softening as they skate over my features. Did you let me go? He chokes out. Hearing the pain in his voice causes the dam to break, tears spilling over my eyelids. I bite my lower lip to stop my chin from quivering. I could no sooner let go of you than I could breathe without lungs or live without a heart. He hangs his head, processing my response for a moment, probably assessing whether any of it holds even a hint of truth. I can't make him believe it. All I can do is hope he does. When he lifts his gaze, it's fiery, impassioned, wild. Before I can react, he clutches my cheeks in his hands and crushes his lips to mine, his tongue firm and demanding as it slides against mine, leaving no doubt in my mind that this is real, that Asher's here, that he's finally kissing me. Grabbing the back of his head, I deepen the kiss, tugging his body even closer to mine. I need more of him, all of him. I can't let him go, refuse to let him go, never again. Our kiss is passionate, yet reserved, lust-filled, yet serene, reckless, yet unhurried. Goddamn darlin', he groans after he tears his lips from mine. Do you have any idea how long I've thirsted for your kiss? His hands continue to frame my face as he touches his forehead to mine, both of us struggling to get our breathing under control, our shaky inhales echoing around us. Then why didn't you come to me last night, I sob. Why did you make me think you didn't care, that you'd already let me go? He brings his thumbs underneath my cheeks, swiping away the tears that fall. Like I could ever let you go. Your soul is permanently etched on mine. It always will be. But I was fucking scared. He steps back and paces, digging his hands through his hair as he attempts to find the words he needs. And upset, and irrational, and insecure, and ignorant, and probably 1,000 other things. He stops, facing me. I messed up. This is on me. He declares passionately. All of it. He licks his lips, then draws in a breath. The intensity in his expression dissipates. I just hope you'll accept this as a token of how sorry I am. He reaches into the front pocket of his shorts and pulls out a small black velvet box. My eyes widen, probably bordering on horror at what it could contain. Don't worry. His chuckles hit me deep in my core. God, I've missed this man's laugh. His smile. His everything. It's not that. I figure we'll cross one bridge at a time. I blow out a breath as I take the velvet box and slowly open it, gasping when I see the contents. Asher, I shake my head as I admire the stunning platinum necklace. But it's not just any necklace. At the end is an origami dove pendant, tiny diamonds sparkling under the sunlight. May I? He arches a brow, eyes pleading with me to allow him to do this, to accept this gift, to accept this apology. If my time with Asher has taught me anything, it's to finally take a risk, and I'm willing to bet it all on him. Yes. His shoulders relax as he takes the necklace from me, shoving the box into his pocket. When he steps behind me to secure it, his hands smooth my hair over my shoulder, the gentle brush of his flesh on mine sending electricity coursing through my veins. Once the necklace is secure around my neck, he spins me so he can admire the pendant sitting just above my cleavage. Look at the inside of the wing, he instructs. Curious. I do as he says, squinting when I notice an inscription. My favorite, always. He finishes. Not almost never again. I'm a complete fool. Izzy. I lost sight of the most important thing. And what's that? That regardless of what brought you up here this winter in the first place, you said those 3 little words to me outside our bubble. He cups my cheeks once more. So, let me ask you. He licks his lips. Do you still love me? I cover his hands with mine as he holds my face, my eyes locking with his. Boomerang. Between us, no other word is needed. Tension vanishes from his body as he expels a long breath. Boomerang. His grip on me tightens as he seals his devotion with a kiss consuming, captivating, hypnotizing. When Jesse called to ask if I'd pay Grams a visit before I went home, I never could have imagined this would be the result. What if I hadn't agreed to come with him? So this was your plan all along? Bringing me up here, I ask, once our kiss comes to an end. He shrugs. More or less. What if I refused to come when Jesse asked, stepping away? I cross my arms over my chest, giving him a playful look. I very well could have. That's true. He palms my back and tugs me against him. But I know you'd do anything for Grams. And how would Grams like it if she found out you used her to get back together with me? She'd endorse it 100%, a familiar voice calls out. I pull away from Asher, looking at where the dock meets the grass. Grams and Jesse standing together. Grams, I exhale, walking into her outstretched arms. Glad you three worked things out, she whispers, kissing my cheek. Thank you. I squeeze her, then drop my hold, glancing nervously between Asher and Jesse. But any apprehension disappears the instant Jesse beams, giving Asher a heartfelt hug. Glad you finally got the girl, he says. Thanks, man, Asher responds. For everything. Anything for you. You know that. Asher steps back, draping his arm around my shoulders. I do now. We'll give you two some privacy, Grams announces, then turns to Jesse. Come on, there's a church a few towns over I'd like to check out. We all erupt in laughter at the memory of how Asher and I finally reconnected. It was all because of Grams and her Sunday morning booty call. You don't have to make up some elaborate scheme to get me out of the house anymore, Jesse remarks, taking Grams' hand and leading her back toward the house. Asher and I following close behind. Plus, it's after 3 p.m. Isn't church more a Sunday morning kind of thing? How would I know Grams shoots back? The only time I've felt close to God has been when I've screamed out. And that's enough, Jesse exclaims, the tips of his ears turning red. No more. Oh, there will be plenty more. Grams reminds him as we step into the house, navigating toward the living room. You're stuck with me for 3 hours while you drive me back to your parents' house. The best thing about being my age is when I speak my mind, people just think I'm some crazy old coot. Jesse gives Asher a look of feigned annoyance as we approach the front door. You owe me for this. Oh, I know. Asher pulls my body tighter against his, more than you realize. We all say our goodbyes. But unlike before, this isn't actually goodbye. I'll see them again, probably very soon. And surprisingly, it doesn't feel awkward to hug Jesse. I can honestly say he doesn't hold a grudge. Not anymore. Once we're alone. I turn to Asher, biting my lower lip. For years, I've masked my love for this man. I'm not sure what to do now that I no longer have to hide it. Do you think it's strange? Too, he asks, looking down at me in awe. A little, but it's a good strange. Yes, it is. He loops an arm around me, pulling my body into his. So, what should we do? I have a few ideas. Oh, really? His pupils dilate as he gradually lowers his mouth back to mine. Really, he murmurs, a spark shooting through me when his lips feather against mine. And what would that be? I ask in a husky voice. Don't worry, darling. We've got forever to find out. I melt into his kiss. I like the sound of that, darling. Chapter 42. I peer out the window of the hotel room. The Washington Monument visible in the distance, the bright white of it stark against the blackness of night. Soft lips feather along my shoulder blades, and I moan. Are you seriously ready to go again? I murmur, peeking one eye at my cell on the nightstand. You do have 22 minutes and 13 seconds. Asher's raspy chuckles surround me. I need to make sure I keep my woman satisfied. He kisses my neck, then pushes me onto my back, hovering over me. I reach up, pushing a few strands of hair out of his eyes. How did you like the show tonight, after getting out of work earlier? I hopped on a flight and came down to catch Asher's concert. It's the first one I've been to since we reconnected a few weeks ago. And the first one that he's publicly announced me as his girlfriend. He offered to keep it quiet for my own privacy, but after being forced to love each other in secret for so long, I want the world to know. Regardless of the scathing comments I'm sure will be left all over social media by the time we wake up in the morning. Hell, they're probably already there. You were as sexy as ever. I rake my fingers down his back, my lips seeking his. I didn't realize my past came with preferential treatment by the star of the show himself. Oh, but it does. He lowers his mouth to my neck, and I tilt my head, surrendering to his addictive touch. I don't know how I survived as long as I did without the warmth of his lips on me. It's something I don't wish to endure again. I needed to give you the full Asher York treatment. Is that what you're calling it these days? I exhale as he slithers down my body, his tongue flicking my nipple. The Asher York treatment, He moans. I hear it's quite the experience. I moan, digging my fingers into his scalp as he bares his teeth, tugging slightly on my sensitive bud. Oh God, it is. My eyes flutter closed, the world disappearing as I succumb to his talented mouth. Suddenly, the jarring sound of his phone ringing cuts through, breaking the moment. He pauses, not moving, his tongue pressed against my chest. You should get that, I whisper. Pretty sure any phone call around midnight is probably an emergency. Jesse thinks everything's an emergency. He's getting better. I push against him, forcing him off me. How about this? You talk to Jesse. I'll order a ridiculously expensive bottle of champagne and we can drink it off each other's bodies. I go to stand, but he wraps an arm around my waist, pulling me back onto the bed. I like how your mind works. He covers my mouth, his kiss brief, yet still toe-curling. But see if they can send up an ice cream sundae, too. With all the fixings on the side, I arch a brow. On the side, he nods slowly, eyes darkening. Because I'm going to create my own dessert out of you. A quiver trickles through me, moisture pooling between my thighs. I almost want to tell him to forget about Jesse's phone call. But as I've learned, sometimes delayed gratification is worth it. Be right back. He presses his lips to mine once more, then rolls off the bed, grabbing his phone and padding into the living area of the suite. I pull my legs into my body, unable to stop myself from admiring Asher's naked physique as he stands by the window, focused intently on his conversation with Jesse. But as beautiful as he is on the outside, he's even more gorgeous on the inside. Sighing, I look away, grabbing the room phone to put in our order, hoping they'll still be able to cater to our unique request this late at night. Just as I'm about to press the button for room service, Asher dashes back into the room, eyes wide, expression panicked as he makes a beeline for the remote, turning the TV to a news station. What's going on, I ask? Returning the phone to the cradle, staring at the screen that displays what appears to be aerial footage of a warehouse-sized building set on a large expanse of land. When I read the caption on the banner, it sucks the air from my lungs. Dozens arrested in human trafficking ring. Did they? I begin, cut off when a reporter's voice comes over the footage. Earlier today, the FBI arrested David Jordan, renowned televangelist, founder of the Faithful Living Church, and president of Faithful Living Christian Charities. I blink, raising myself from the bed and stepping toward the TV, my heart hammering in my chest. This is an ongoing investigation, but the FBI has confirmed Jordan was arrested in connection with what they're calling one of the largest human trafficking rings in the history of this country. A raid late tonight led to the discovery of multiple properties where women were imprisoned, at the direction of Mr. Jordan. These women were forced to get pregnant. The product of these pregnancies then sold to unsuspecting couples who had reached out to his charity's adoption agency. The FBI states it could take months or years to fully understand the scope of how massive this so-called baby mill operation was. But early guesses estimate thousands of adoptions could be affected. Holy shit! I breathe just as my cell rings, startling me. I whirl around, dashing toward it. When I see Chloe's name on the screen, I quickly answer. "Are you watching the news?" she asks breathlessly. "Yes. Isn't it magnificent? You were right. I can't believe it. How? I thought the FBI moved on to other cases." They did. But Oliver refused to give up. He started looking at areas that had an above-average birth ratio. Didn't the FBI already investigate that? They did. Based on the areas in question, they explained the variants as being those associated with the Amish or Mennonites, which would make sense, or it would be a great cover. What are you saying? Oliver narrowed it down to about a dozen areas, mostly in Maryland, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. He went to each of these locations himself, looked for anything suspicious, asked locals if they knew of any out-of-the-way properties, most likely fenced in, where they didn't see a lot of activity. It took about a month, but he was able to provide the FBI a list of addresses. What did they find? They pulled property transfer records. They discovered that every property in question was actually owned by a member of one of the many branches of Faithful Living Church. That's a bit suspicious, but still not a smoking gun. Right? Right. What would you say if I told you each of these so-called property owners was actually deceased? My eyes widen. Deceased. Looks like they used private information belonging to a variety of their church members to buy property in the hopes of not raising any suspicion or connecting the dots back to Jordan. If Oliver hadn't gone that extra step to look into the background of who owned each property and realized they were actually dead when the property was transferred to them, he probably would have gotten away with it. Didn't anyone in the recorder's office question it? If they did, I'm sure they were paid to look the other way. Wow. I shake my head as I lower myself onto the mattress, staring at the TV, seeing an overhead shot of an enormous house, blue and red lights flashing as police swarm the property. An arm drapes along my shoulders, and I lift my eyes to Asher. He smiles down at me, the pride in his gaze making my heart swell. If it weren't for him, I never would have taken the first step to find out the truth about my birth mother. I owe it all to him. All the girls who no longer have to live in fear owe it all to him. The girls, I say excitedly, mind racing. What about them? Any names? Chloe blows out a long breath. They aren't releasing any information until family members are notified. There were several dozen girls at each property. You can imagine the amount of paperwork this number of missing people is going to cause. I rest my hand on Asher's arm when he hangs his head. I can finally find comfort in my past, knowing I did something to bring those responsible for my mother's disappearance to justice. But what about Asher and Jesse? Will they ever get answers about Amelia? Will they ever find closure? Hey, listen, I've got to go. Chloe's voice interrupts my thoughts. This is causing quite the stir at Lincoln's paper. Not to mention, some chick showed up as Asher York's girlfriend at his concert tonight. So the entire single female population of this country is up in arms, causing the gossip mills to work on overdrive. I'm trying to track down who this person is, since the new gossip columnist at the magazine still leaves a bit to be desired. I laugh slightly, a welcome break in the tension. No one will ever be as good at getting them to talk as you were. Don't I know it? She groans. But I'm happy for you. You deserve this. Thanks, Chloe, for everything. I trail off, collecting my thoughts. Thanks for believing in me. I love you. Now go. Spend some time with that rock star boyfriend of yours and enjoy this. I will. Love you, too. I linger on the line a moment longer, then end the call, staring into space as I process this turn of events. In truth, once I heard the FBI wasn't putting forward many resources on this, despite Avery's statement, I gave up hope anything would come of it. I certainly hadn't expected anything like this. You did it. Asher grips my face, the way he holds me all-consuming. This man has never had a problem showing his emotions, but I've never seen him so overwhelmed, so moved, so proud. I didn't do anything. I insist. Yes, you did. You refused to give up, saw something no one else wanted to. If you hadn't found the courage to search for your birth mother, none of this would have been possible. I only found that courage because of you. You gave me the strength to confront my past, not run from it and pretend it doesn't exist. His lips brush tenderly against mine, and I sigh, the touch perfect in its simplicity. No more running. His words come out as a cross between a plea and a demand. No more running. Good. My cell chimes and I rip my eyes away, grabbing it off the mattress. When I realize it's not another phone call but my alarm, I smirk, displaying the screen for Asher. Looks like break time's over. He gently pushes me back onto the bed, climbing on top of me. You love cracking that whip, don't you? God, yes. I giggle as he buries his head in the crook of my neck. Chapter 43. I appreciate your time, an FBI agent says. Standing from behind his desk, I meet his gray eyes that match the shade of his hair, his no-nonsense demeanor making me think he's been in law enforcement most of his professional life. I'm sorry it wasn't under better circumstances. It's okay. I swallow hard through the lump in my throat as Asher helps me to my feet, his hand placed firmly on my back. I knew this was a strong probability. A part of me held out hope she hadn't been killed, but at least I have closure about what happened to her. The agent nods solemnly. I shudder to think how many more of these conversations he'll have over the next few days. After the raid, not only did they find several dozen women being imprisoned, but they also uncovered what can only be described as a burial ground containing the remains of dozens of women in various stages of decomposition. The authorities estimated some had been dead as long as 40 years, others only a week at most. In the days that followed the news of what David Jordan had been doing, I dashed to my phone anytime it rang, waiting for word about the names of the victims who were found alive. Unfortunately, not one bore the name Amelia Morgan. When I got the call asking me to come down to the Maryland FBI office, I hoped they'd also have information on Amelia, if just to give Asher and Jesse closure. They didn't, but they did confirm my birth mother's remains were found. Needless to say, this story shocked the country. They've interviewed hundreds of people who knew David Jordan, many of whom were members of his church. Every single one of them appeared stunned that he could have been involved in something like this. It still boggles my mind he got away with this as long as he did. However, throughout the course of the ongoing investigation, it was revealed that many local and even federal law enforcement officials were involved, that David Jordan offered many of them huge sums of money to keep quiet. Anyone who looked into reports about suspicious activity taking place around his properties soon met dead end after dead end. Had their efforts not been thwarted by someone receiving kickbacks, they would have uncovered exactly what was going on much sooner. The FBI is still investigating to determine how long he's been running this baby mill operation. As far as they can tell, it started out as a legitimate adoption agency. Then he must have seen how lucrative the adoption industry could be. At first, he had his staff use methods of persuasion to convince young, naive, scared women to give up their baby for adoption. But once Roe v. Wade legalized abortion, his pool of babies dwindled, forcing him to find another way to make the same amount of money. When I think of how a man who'd appeared so devout, so humble, so compassionate could have been the mastermind behind something so depraved, so evil, so malicious, it makes my stomach churn. The number of victims is mind-boggling. Not only were the women abused, treated as nothing more than a pair of ovaries and uterus, but thousands upon thousands of adoptions have also been drawn into question. While I can't imagine going through what these women did, what my mother endured, my heart also goes out to the parents who adopted these children. However, in the absence of wrongdoing by the parents, Child Services advised the adoptions be upheld. All in all, thousands of lives have been uprooted because of this one man who deserves nothing less than to be treated the same way he treated all these women for decades. You'll keep us posted, Asher presses. If you're able to identify any additional remains, the agent gives him a sympathetic smile. Absolutely. Thank you. He reaches across the desk and the two men shake hands. I do the same. Then Asher ushers me out of the office, returning his baseball cap and sunglasses to his head in an attempt to mask who he is. A melancholy silence stretches between us as we make our way through the corridors and into the reception area. The chairs filled with people from all walks of life. Some of them stare blankly into space, eyes red from tears. Others bounce a leg, a sense of hope filling them. I wonder how many of these people will receive the same news I just did, that they found the remains of their loved one. It's okay. I face Asher once we're outside. Maybe Amelia's disappearance wasn't connected to this. We'll go through all the records from when she went missing and see what we find. He blows out a sigh. Or maybe it's time I let Amelia go. Let her live on in my memory. Maybe there's a different reason she disappeared. Maybe she disappeared so we'd somehow connect the dots in your mother's case. Do you really believe that I crane my head back? I have to. He shrugs. If she hadn't gone missing, if I hadn't offered to help the police comb through tips they received, we never would have come up with the theory that something bigger was at play than your mother running from an abusive partner. The corners of his lips curve into a small smile. I wish I knew for certain what happened to her. But for now, I can find comfort in the fact that it gave you the closure you needed. As long as you're happy, I'm happy. That's the most important thing in the world to me. Everything else is just gravy. But you love gravy. I do. But I love you more. And I love you. Boomerang. Boomerang, he murmurs, his lips skimming mine. Neither one of us caring that we're standing on the steps of the FBI office building. When he pulls back, it looks like a weight has lifted off him. Come on. He nods toward the parking lot, draping his arm over my shoulders. Let's go home. I like the sound of that. I melt into him, allowing him to lead me toward his SUV. So, let me get this straight. A scratchy voice cuts through. We both stop in our tracks. I expel a long breath, steeling myself to deal with another crazy zealot who doesn't believe David Jordan did anything wrong, that he was doing God's work and making sure babies who were the result of sin grew up in a good, wholesome family. This isn't the first person who has approached us since our involvement in this case was made public. I doubt it'll be the last. They actually gave you a record deal. This catches our attention and we whirl around. I peer at the woman, estimating her to be only a few years older than me, although she's much shorter, probably only 5'1". Her blonde hair has a slight wave to it, dark sunglasses covering her eyes. Her ripped jeans and Queen t-shirt don't make her look like the typical fanatic who's been protesting many of the funerals of Jordan's victims. Based on her statement directed toward Asher, I get the feeling she's not a zealot at all. Do I? Asher begins, his brows scrunched. Jennifer Neal. She thrusts her hand out, and Asher grabs onto it, shaking it warily. The name sounds familiar, and I search my memory. I've heard more names these past few weeks than I have in my life. From the dozens of women who were rescued from the baby mills and are now going through the process of readjusting to life again, to the even more women whose bodies were found buried on David Jordan's property, to the people who've come forward to share their own stories of escaping his baby mill and living to tell about it, to the network of Good Samaritans who helped rescue as many girls as possible, often putting their own lives at risk. Jennifer Neal, I murmur. Then it hits me. You helped them. You helped some of the girls escape. Wish I could have done more. She refocuses her attention on Asher. Of course, you may remember me by another name. Her chin quivers as her lips lift slightly in the corners. Her voice strained. She removes her sunglasses, revealing dazzling blue eyes. His body stiffens as he inhales a sharp breath. She smiles. It's me. Oh, my God. You're alive. Asher immediately drops his hold on me, not hesitating for an instant, hugging her tightly. I observe their interaction, my heart nearly bursting at this unexpected turn of events. He pulls back, holding her at arm's length, where while licking his lips, he shakes his head, then crushes her body back against his, as if scared this is a trick, a figment of his imagination, a manifestation of his deepest desires. When he angles away once more, he stares at her, his mouth agape, 1,000 questions on the tip of his tongue. I have 1,000 questions on the tip of mine, too. She touches her hand to his arm. I'll tell you everything, but you need to answer my question first. She smirks. They really gave you a record deal. Asher's laughter echoes against the buildings surrounding us as he hugs her again. Like you always said, record labels have shit taste in music. They do. She lifts her eyes to his. But I'm glad they finally smartened up. So, you escaped, Jesse presses, as we all sit in the living area of our Baltimore hotel suite. The second Asher called him about Amelia. Jesse jumped on the first flight from LA and was here the following day. I did. She brings her eyes to mine. Much the same way it appears your friend, Avery, escaped. But if you escaped, why didn't you come home? She interrupts Jesse. You know how much I cared about you. The muscles in his face tense as he struggles to understand why she didn't return to her family, why she started over. If I hadn't been living and breathing this case for the past several months, I'd question it, too. But it all makes sense. I couldn't. I refused to do anything that could put my life in jeopardy. She meets his sad eyes. Put my daughter's life in jeopardy. He expels a breath. You have a daughter. Her lips pinched. She slowly nods. Julianne, how old? She'll be 8 this October. Is she? He trails off, unable to finish his question. She's the product of what I went through, but I don't care about that. I love her just the same. I don't see the man who raped me when I look at her. I see a strong girl I'd do anything to protect. She's why I decided to finally do something. How did you get involved in helping these women, I ask? About 2 years ago, I found myself outside of Portland, Maine, for work. What is it you do? Jesse asks. She smiles, meeting my eyes. I'm a nurse. He laughs slightly as he glances at Asher. We just can't get away from it, can we? Nurses really are the best people. I remind him. I know. He returns his attention to Amelia. So, what's significant about being in Portland? It was the end of the line for me. He scrunches his brows together. End of the line. There's an entire network made up of people who help women who are in the same position. I was. A girl shows up at a hospital, pregnant and distant. The nurse tries to ascertain their mental state, if they make any mention of needing help or not being okay. We put the wheels in motion. One person takes the girl only so far before she's handed off to someone else. I was being held somewhere in upstate New York. This network got me all the way to Portland, at which point they handed me an envelope with my new life, new ID, new social security number, and enough cash to get me started. But if it's a nurse, why don't they just report it to the authorities? They did at one point. She shakes her head. Nothing ever got done. A nurse would report it. An officer would show up to take her to a shelter. But guess where they took her? Back to Jordan's property. I exhale. She nods. Precisely. Where they'd remind you of your place. Remind you. Jessie swallows hard. How she raises her left hand, revealing where her pinky was removed at the metacarpal. The staff at the hospital noticed the same women returning and decided to stop involving the police. They took matters into their own hands and successfully saved dozens of women, myself included. So, when I was in Portland, I stopped by the address where I remember spending the night before going on my way. At first, it was just to see it, to remind myself of how far I'd come. When I saw the woman who helped me, I went up to her. I don't know what came over me, but I begged her to let me help. I'd been living in New Hampshire, close to the route I was sure they'd been using. They initially refused because of who I was, but they eventually relented. What did you do? I ask. Every few days. I'd get a message on a burner phone with an address and a time. I'd go, pick up the girl, then transport her to the next waypoint. Jesse leans back, processing this story. And they were all from one of Jordan's properties. Some of them were, but we also helped other human trafficking victims. Anyone who came to a hospital in our network and exhibited any of the signs: poor mental health, abnormal behavior, quiet, bruises, sexual abuse, we'd attempt to intervene and get them away from their captor. And you never went to the police. His voice is strained. I can hear the hurt, the pain, the years of not knowing whether she was still alive. You never tried to get in touch with me with Asher. Tell us you were okay. She covers his hand with hers. I would have loved to reach out to let you know I was okay. But one of the things they'd ingrained into me, into all of us when we were given that new life, was not to look back, to only look forward. That looking back might help them find me again. It wasn't just me I had to think about. I had to think about my daughter, too. She swipes at her tears. I'd been living as Jennifer Neal so long. I almost didn't say anything when I saw Asher walk out of the lobby of the FBI building. She shifts her attention across the coffee table to Asher. But you looked so lost. I decided it was time to give you the answers you deserved. She floats her gaze back to Jesse. Her expression softens, a flicker of something in her eyes. That you deserved, too. It's silent for a moment as Jesse pinches the bridge of his nose, pulling his lip between his teeth. Then he exhales, wrapping an arm across her shoulders, drawing her closer. I'm so fucking glad you're okay. She pushes out a laugh. Asher said the same thing. Good to know some things never change. That despite your differences, you still have the same reaction to a situation. That's right, I exclaim excitedly, flinging my mischievous gaze toward Amelia. You knew them when they were younger. Tell me. I lower my voice. What were they like in middle school? Oh boy, do I have stories? There was this one time at a dance. Stop, both men shout simultaneously, their eyes bulging out of their sockets. Amelia's laughter fills the room, light and carefree. I'll tell you later, she winks. Why do I have a feeling I'm going to regret the fact you finally came back into our lives? Jesse jokes. You don't, she playfully jabs him. Admit how much you missed me and my twisted sense of humor. He kisses the top of her head. You have no idea. Chapter 44. I'm so happy you both finally got your shit together, Chloe announces as we lounge in the rooftop garden of Asher's Gramercy Park townhouse, several dozen of our closest friends and family congregating for our housewarming party. This time, there were no earplugs, hidden vibrators, or t-shirts announcing I still lived with my parents. No, my friends went above and beyond, handcuffs, blindfolds, even a pair of sexy dice. Is that right? Asher muses, bringing his scotch to his lips as the sun sets behind him. I mean, I'm happy you're finally together. But mostly, I'm thrilled Izzy's back in the city. It was pure torture when she lived in Greenwich. Again. I begin with a roll of my eyes. You act like I moved to the other side of the world. I was right over the state line. I could practically spit on New York from there. Not exactly an arduous journey. Anything outside of Manhattan is an arduous journey, she responds. Typical New Yorker. Lincoln quips, draping his arm along Chloe's shoulders, kissing her temple. Which is why I love ya, babe. You're not so bad yourself. She winks. I smile at them, then shift my attention to Nora, who gazes into the distance. I know how she feels right now. She's the last single woman in our little circle. Granted, Asher and I are only dating, but this relationship is different from any of my previous ones. Which was why I didn't hesitate when he asked me to move in, officially. What time does your flight leave tomorrow, I ask, getting Nora's attention. She tears her eyes toward us, forcing a smile. 8 a.m. So you're really doing it, Evie muses. Why not everyone celebrates their wedding with a honeymoon? I should celebrate my divorce with a divercation. Plus, I always wanted to drive Route 66. It's what I hoped to do on my honeymoon with Jeremy, but he wanted to go somewhere tropical where cabana boys serve drinks. She winces. Now I know why. Anyway, that doesn't matter. This trip is exactly what I need. Sort of a restart. Well, I know this is a party for Izzy and Asher, Evie announces, retrieving a gift bag from beneath the patio table. But we all chipped in and got you a little something for your trip. Nora hesitantly takes it. I've seen the gifts you guys give. I'm not sure I want it. You're probably right, Chloe interjects. But it may come in useful. Is it safe to open up here? She glances over her shoulder toward where Graham socializes with my parents. Jessie and Amelia laughing at something she just said. Amelia's daughter giggling next to her. Ever since Amelia appeared out of nowhere, Jessie has been up in New Hampshire every chance he gets. While I haven't seen anything overtly amorous between them, I sense it's headed that way. I'd hoped Avery would be able to make it today, if for no other reason than to meet Amelia. But her son is moving back into his dorm at Northwestern this weekend. Regardless, we've stayed in touch. In a way, it feels like I did find my mother, especially when she tells me stories about her. Trust me, Grams has seen much worse. Asher takes a sip of his drink. She probably owns much worse, he mutters. Your Grams is a rock star, Evie states. When I'm 90, I want to be like her. Don't we all? I remark. Okay. Nora exhales deeply. Here goes nothing. She rummages through the bag and pulls out the first gift, scrunching her nose. Maps. What did you hide inside? She flips the slim package around, scrutinizing it to figure out what kind of kinky gift we disguised within its pages. Butt plugs. Nope. Evie holds her head high. They're just maps, complete with turn-by-turn directions of Route 66. We were reading up and found out a lot of the road isn't marked, so those maps will help you stay on the old road as much as possible. There's an app you can download too, Chloe adds. But since you're going old school with driving Route 66, we figured maybe you'd like something tangible to hold on to. This is perfect. Nora beams, clutching them to her chest. Then she reaches into the bag, pulling out a leather-bound journal. Her fingers trace the grooves of the words embossed in gold on the front. Let the adventure begin. We thought you'd like to journal along the way. Might help with some self-introspection. Evie offers. I love it. Nora breathes, examining the pages. This is gorgeous, and it's the perfect journal for this trip. She smiles at all of us, then ruffles through the tissue in the bag. When she takes out the final gift, she bursts out laughing, her face turning red as she holds up the vibrator. And there it is. What did you expect from us, I suggest? For those lonely nights when you're staying in a sketchy motel room? Trust me, that thing will make you forget your name. It's true. Asher offers. Izzy tested out dozens to find the best one before ordering that for you. We ran a series of experiments. It was a grueling few days. Oh, I'm sure it was absolutely torture for you, Nora quips, and we all erupt in laughter. Then she stands, giving each of us a hug. You girls are the best friends anyone could ask for. I don't know how I would have survived these past few months without you. We didn't do anything. Evie rests her hand on Nora's bicep. You were there, she replies in earnest. And we always will be. Chloe wraps an arm around her, and the four of us hug, leaving our guys out of this special moment. It doesn't matter what we go through, what disagreements we may have, we'll always be there for each other. I suppose that's all anyone can ask for. I'm not cleaning a damn thing tonight. I moan as I flop onto the couch in the living room after all our guests are gone. I'm rethinking this whole homeownership thing. I don't like entertaining. Asher lifts my legs, then sits next to me, setting my feet on his lap. Then we'll pay someone to entertain for us. I like the sound of that. And don't worry about cleaning. I have a crew booked for tomorrow. Actually, Jessie booked them, but I'm going to take credit for it. I laugh, then whimper when he rubs the arch of my foot, flexing the muscle, savoring in his touch. I could probably die happy right now. There's something incredibly orgasmic about a man rubbing my feet. He's always good like that, I murmur, closing my eyes. You'd be lost without him. No question about that. Despite all the lies and truths that were revealed over these past several months, Jesse and Asher came out the other side strong, maybe even stronger, especially now that Jesse found Amelia. There's no doubt in my mind he never truly loved me. Not when I see the unequivocal devotion in his eyes whenever he catches a glimpse of Amelia. Not to mention how fantastic he is with her daughter. I never took Jesse for the type who'd want kids. I figured the second they spilled something on his suit, he'd flip out. Again, I was wrong about him. Or maybe I was wrong for him. So where are you off to next week, I ask, cutting through the comfortable silence. Somewhere in the middle of the country. I've lost track at this point. All I know is I have a car coming for me at 10 Friday morning, and I'm flying to Dallas. Oh, Texas. I bet those Texas girls are going to love them some Asher York. He flashes me that same panty-dropping smile that had me wanting to drop my panties the first time I saw him. Perhaps. But there's only one woman I care about loving me. He leans toward me, his lips hovering close to mine. And that's you. You know I love you. But not Asher York. He angles away. What do you mean I know the real Asher? And that's the man I fell in love with. This whole music thing is a nice bonus. So you'd still love me even if I never wrote another song for you? Why do you ask? I playfully bat my lashes. Did you write me a song? You should know by now. Izzy. They're all for you. His lips touch mine in a soft kiss before he pulls back. But I'd like your opinion on something I've been working on. Okay. As much as I'd love to lounge on the couch as he rubs my feet, I can't resist when he sits at the piano or strums the guitar. I love watching him perform. And I'm lucky enough to be treated to a private concert anytime I want. Okay. He places a kiss on my nose, then stands. I sit up as he pads toward one of his guitars, grabbing it before returning to the couch. He checks the tuning and makes a few adjustments before looking at me. Drawing a deep breath, he positions his fingers on the frets. Then a slow, lilting melody fills the room. I relax into the cushions, the sound of Asher's voice putting me at ease. I can't promise it will be easy, or that we'll never fight. I can't promise dark clouds will stay away, or that it will only be blue skies and smooth sailing. But I can promise my undying love, an eternity of devotion, a lifetime of passion. I promise I'll always be by your side through any crisis, if you'll be my boomerang, my always, my wife. I shoot up, spine straight, jaw dropping, eyes widening as his words ring around me. I almost want to ask him to sing that again. There's no way he just said that. Is there? He continues the next verse, but I don't hear it, can't register the lyrics. The smirk on his face tells me he finds amusement in my reaction. When he reaches the last line of the chorus once more, he leans into me, lips brushing against mine. I promise to be your friend, your family, your life. Please, be my wife. Did you really just say that, I ask when he doesn't say anything further? Pulling back, he sets the guitar beside the couch. When he gets down on one knee in front of me, there's no longer a question in my mind about whether those lyrics were there on purpose. Isabella Delaney Nolan. He takes my left hand in his. Everything about him sincere. When I saw you from across the room at a dirty club in Boston, it felt like I was listening to a song for the first time and knew it would always be my favorite. And that's what you've become to me over the years. My favorite kiss, my favorite good morning, my favorite sunrise, my favorite person, my favorite good night. His Adam's apple bobs as he licks his lips. But there's one thing I no longer want you to be my favorite. What's that? My voice trembles. He frames my face in his hands, his grasp determined. I don't want you to be my favorite almost. There's nothing almost about you, about us. Not anymore. From this day forward, I want you to be my favorite always. Officially. He reaches into his pocket and withdraws a black velvet box. He flips it open to reveal a stunning princess cut diamond flanked on either side by smaller stones. Then even more diamonds inlaid into the band. It's so shiny. I laugh through my tears. That's what I told the jeweler when I picked it out. Told them I needed the shiniest setting. I roll my eyes. No, you didn't. You're right. I didn't have to. I knew exactly what you wanted. So, what do you say? Will you be my muse for the rest of my life? I nod quickly, touching my lips to his. Yes, I say against his mouth. I'll be your forever muse, your favorite always. I swallow hard. Your favorite wife. His muscles relax as he kisses me with even more determination, taking my left hand in his and slipping on the ring, not tearing his lips from me. His tongue swipes mine, and I tug him on top of me as I lower myself to my back. When he grinds his hips, I moan, "Wait." He pulls back. I dart my eyes open, meeting his, my brows pulled in. Then a salacious smile crosses his mouth as he waggles his brows. There are a few things I should mention. Job requirements if you're to be my full-time muse. A few things Jesse must have left off the last time you accepted employment for this position. I pinch my lips together, giving him a playful look. Is that right? He erases the distance between us, covering my mouth with his. I'll need you to lay on the couch after you come home from a long day at work while I rub all your sore muscles. That sounds exhausting, but I'll do my best. I breathe deeply as he makes his way to my neck, his scruff grazing my skin. Every morning, you'll need to rest in bed while I bring you breakfast. Now you're getting demanding. I throw my head back as he continues slithering down my body, lifting the hem of my shirt, peppering kisses along my stomach. And if we ever have children, you'll need to take some time for yourself while I change their diapers, read to them, and rock them to sleep. You're an absolute slave driver. I groan as he trails his tongue just above the waistband of my jeans, then dipping into my belly button. But I must say, the employment package is rather enticing. He breaks into a throaty laugh. I can't help but join in. Everything about this moment exactly as I imagined it would be. God, I love you. He lifts his eyes to mine, and I love you. A breathtaking smile builds at the declaration he's heard hundreds of times by now. But there's something different in his gaze this time. It's a look of peace unlike any I've seen. It's the same look I always noticed crawl across my father's face whenever he walked into the house and saw my mother. She'd always go to him and give him a kiss that may have bordered on inappropriate as she welcomed him home. Even if they weren't physically in the house I grew up in, she'd still greet him the same way. Home isn't four walls and a door. It's a feeling. It's this feeling. Sure, we'll have fights. We'll get mad. We'll have moments when we'll want to throw in the towel. But at the end of the day, we'll always have our love, a boomerang, and an origami dove. Welcome home, Asher. I murmur as I grab the back of his neck and bring his lips to mine. Welcome home, Isabella. Brooklyn. It all starts with a decision. Aunt Gigi has said those words to me countless times over the course of my 32 years. After all, she would continue to say, "You're always just one decision away from a completely different life." As I sit in my car, I'm unsure why I'm thinking about this right now. Where would I be if I didn't have a father who pushed me to be the best I could be? Where would I be if I hadn't looked up when a handsome man approached me one day, reigniting something I thought I'd never feel again? Where would I be if my mother had waited 5 more minutes to run to the store the night she was killed by a drunk driver? Would my life be any different? Would my father still be as overprotective as he is? Would I have been pushed to excel like I was? Would I ever have formed the friendships I did? Would I ever have gone to that party before the start of my junior year of high school? They say there are certain moments in our life that define who we are. For some, it's when they discover their true passion, like music, writing, or hockey. For others, it's when they see an injustice in the world and decide to make it their life's mission to stop it, to put an end to hunger, poverty, hate. For me, as silly as it sounds, the moment that defines my life is Brody Carmichael's party the summer of 2001. It's the summer I learned what love is. It's also the summer I learned what a broken heart feels like. As Aunt Gigi had told me whenever she noticed a tear trickle down my cheek as I followed my best friend, Molly, down the hallway of her house and past the door to her brother's room. It's okay to be a glow stick once in a while. Sometimes we have to be broken in half before we shine. After that summer, I decided I would shine, even if I was as dark as night inside. A loud horn blares, bringing me back to the present. I glance up to see the stoplight is now green, cars passing on both sides. Shit, I mutter to myself, stepping on the gas and rejoining the flow of traffic. After battling the streets of downtown Boston for 15 minutes, I pull my economical Honda in front of La Grenouille in the financial district. A valet attendant strides toward me. I can't help but feel him turn up his nose at my choice of automobile. Most of the patrons here drive Mercedes, Jaguars, BMWs. My job at the Massachusetts Department of Children and Families doesn't pay me enough to afford that type of car. I can barely afford the payments on my used one. With a tight smile, I take the ticket from the attendant, then head toward the front doors of the restaurant. Tourists and professionals alike fill the sidewalks in this popular section of the city. Suit-clad commuters hurry from tall buildings and toward the closest subway station, skirting shoppers weighed down by bags, students hauling backpacks, and couples bickering over where to grab dinner. Boston has an energy I love, which is why I've never lived anywhere else. I doubt I ever will. Approaching the ornate front doors, which appear to be more of a statement than a necessity, I start to pull them open when I stop, staring at myself in the reflective glass. Inadequacy washes over me. I'm about to walk into a restaurant where the price tag on most dishes is more than my mortgage. I don't even want to consider how much the bottle of wine we'll have is going to cost. Everyone will be wearing the latest fashion trends from designers whose names have more vowels than I can pronounce. My simple black dress came from a sales rack at a discount clothing store. Will I ever feel like I measure up? I fill my lungs with air, doing my best to ward off my nerves. I've been on dozens of dates like this one. Tonight is no different. But I still can't shake the feeling deep in my bones that everything's about to change. Resolved and calm, I open the door. The instant I cross the threshold, the hustle of downtown Boston disappears. The sound of cars and horns replaced with forks scraping against fine china. Low conversation and ostentation, such is the life I've been immersed in since agreeing to that first date. I thought things would be different, that we'd be a normal couple who went to the movies or bowling. Then again, we aren't most couples. He isn't like most men. I'm still not sure whether that's a good thing. Bonsoir, the pretentious maitre d' greets in a heavy French accent. Welcome to La Grenouille. I'm meeting someone here. He may have already arrived. Mademoiselle Tanner. He lifts a brow, surveying my attire. That's me. Magnifique. Your date is waiting. Follow me. He turns from me, neither smiling nor frowning, and leads me into the intimate dining area. Heavenly aromas assault my nose, making my stomach growl. Steak, scallops, garlic. The tables are filled with people enjoying the most delectable food presented so beautifully, you almost hate to eat it. As I walk farther into the dining room, blue eyes catch mine and my initial worry about tonight disappears. He seems so informal, as if he isn't sitting at a table in a restaurant where a membership fee is required to even dine. Standing, he resecures the button on his suit jacket, a smile building on his lips. He shaved his face and trimmed his dark hair, but there are still a few curls hanging over his collar. My beautiful Brooklyn. His smooth, deep voice murmurs in the refined Georgia accent that soothes and pacifies me. He leans forward and kisses my cheek, then lingers for a moment, inhaling a deep breath. You look incredible, and you smell even better." I close my eyes, allowing his words to bathe me with a momentary feeling of contentment. It's not a butterfly-inducing, can't eat, can't sleep sensation I feel deep in my bones. There's only been one person who's ever made me react that way. "Thank you, Wes." I pull back. "You clean up nice, too." I wink. The perfect gentleman. He holds my chair out for me, helping me into it. Once I'm settled, the maitre d' places my napkin in my lap. Apparently, those who run five-star restaurants don't believe we can take care of that small movement ourselves. It's just another thing I've grown accustomed to since I began dating Weston James Bradford. "How did court go?" he asks after a few moments of awkward silence. I know not to even bother asking for a menu. Wes has likely already ordered for both of us. When we first started dating, I considered it archaic and overbearing. Now it's just part of what it means to date him. He enjoys taking care of me, making sure all my needs are met. And if he wants to order for me, I won't complain. He's yet to choose something I don't like. I reach for my glass of sparkling water and take a sip, then return it to the table. As good as can be expected, I suppose, especially when you're telling the judge the biological parent shouldn't get physical custody of their children yet, and that parent is sitting in the courtroom shooting daggers at you. His hand clasps around mine, compassion in his gaze. I understand how hard that must be. I smile, biting back my remark that he has no idea how difficult it truly is. Sure, he devotes much of his free time to designing and building homes for those in need, but his charitable work isn't the same. He's never had to sit in a courtroom and tell a judge he doesn't think the person who gave birth to a child should have custody of them. As the case manager and therapist to these kids who've been pulled from their homes, the judge listens to my recommendation. I have to remind myself it's my job to look out for the best interests of these children. It's what I swore to do when I began this job, and I've held up that promise for the past 10 years. Just as I'm about to give him one of my standard responses, a waiter shows up, presenting a bottle of wine to Wes. My muscles relax, grateful for the interruption. After my day, I don't want to talk about work, although that seems to be the only thing either one of us talks about lately. After being together for the better part of a year, shouldn't we be comfortable enough in our relationship to share our dreams for a future? What are his dreams for a future? I'm not sure. All I know about Wes is that from an early age, he wanted to design buildings. It's in his blood. His father's an architect and shared his love and fascination for how things are made with his son. Wes has followed in his footsteps, using his Ivy League education to build his father's firm into one of the most sought-after companies in the country, if not the world. Wes grew up in Georgia, but attended Harvard for his undergraduate studies. After moving back home upon graduation, he missed the energy and pace of life up north, so he convinced his father to open a branch of the firm in Boston, one Wes would oversee. He often travels around the globe, checking in on one of their many projects, pitching to prospective clients, or overseeing the charity program he started where volunteers from his company help construct homes for those in need. Wes is a good man, one any woman would fall hard for. It doesn't matter how many zeros are in his bank account. He still does good deeds routinely, even donating a huge portion of his annual income to charity. The world needs more people like him. When a burgundy hue fills my vision, I snap out of my daze, offering the waiter a smile as he finishes pouring the wine. After he retreats, Wes raises his glass. I follow suit. To you, Brooklyn. Thanks for agreeing to date me after months and months of my begging and groveling. With a wink, he sips his wine. I bring mine to my mouth, savoring the robust flavor. It wasn't months, I retort coyly as the alcohol coats my stomach. Yes, it was. Why else do you think I went to modern grounds in the North End when my office is in the financial district? I swirl the wine in my glass, the liquid coating the sides. Before I met Wes, I was never much of a wine drinker. Over the past several months, he's spoiled me in that area. The bottles he orders during dinner sometimes costing several $100s. Because their coffee is better than any spot in the city, I quip. True, but it was to see you, since you're a regular. It took me a while to work up the nerve to talk to you once I learned you're close friends with Andrew Brinks. My spine stiffens and I inhale a sharp breath. Wes doesn't seem to notice. I've always found his observational skills to be lacking. Or maybe because I've spent my entire life watching and analyzing the world around me. I notice the tiniest things about people, like the way Wes now seems to take repeated small sips of his wine as opposed to drinking casually. Like the way he doesn't look directly at me. Like the way he chews on his bottom lip. I've watched him play. He blows out an anxious laugh. Worse. I've seen the fights he got into on the ice. I didn't want to be on the receiving end of one of his fists. You and dozens of other guys. A small smile cracks on my lips. My gaze unfocused as memories of my childhood rush back. Of sitting in the stands with Molly as we watched her brother play. Watching him grow into a local celebrity, at least in hockey circles. Seeing scout after scout court him when it was time for him to choose a college to attend. The day he signed with the Bruins. It's amazing to think of the paths our lives have taken. After he left for college, we barely spoke again for years. Every time he came home to visit, he avoided me, as if I carried some infectious disease. If it were anyone else who acted that way toward me, I wouldn't care. But this was Drew. He gave me my first kiss. He was supposed to be my first everything, until I realized they were just lies. It wasn't until he had a daughter that we began speaking to each other again, but neither one of us ever brought up that night or why he never came to my house the following day. As he promised he would. I wish I could say I learned my lesson after that, but I didn't. I wish I could say I never thought of Drew as anything other than my best friend's brother. But that's a lie. I wish I could say I'm smart enough not to fall for his charms again, but I'm not. Because I did, only for the same thing to happen. He's always been protective of you, hasn't he? I know Wes means nothing by it, but discussing my friendship with Drew with the man I'm dating makes me uncomfortable. Then again, I'm not sure friendship is the correct term. Not after everything we've been through. Things with Drew are complicated. Yes, according to the outside world, he's a friend. Now, I'm constantly skirting the giant elephant in the room Drew doesn't even know exists. I've made it my elephant, my burden to bear. He has. I picked up on that right away. The first day I walked into the cafe and saw you, I was breathless. Brooklyn, your eyes were so mesmerizing. The green unlike anything I've ever seen. And don't even get me started on your adorable little freckles, but that's not what caught my attention. My skin warms as I listen to Wes's words, allowing myself to bask in his obvious affection for me. No, he shakes his head. It was your laugh. I ducked in to grab a quick coffee before a meeting I had close by. He reaches across the table and grabs my hand in his again. As I waited to place my order, the sound of your laughter filled the place. I was transfixed. In that moment, I needed to know you. I racked my brain, formulating what to say to you. It had to be smart, bold, especially since you were sitting with your friend, Molly. I nod, briefly closing my eyes as I'm transported back to the day a debonair stranger walked into the cafe Molly's family has owned for decades. You'd think she'd be the one you would have noticed first. Never, he assures me with a breathtaking smile. Yes, I've learned Molly can be loud, but something about the way you carry yourself spoke to me from the beginning. But when I saw Andrew Brinks Drew, I interrupt. Right, Drew, he corrects, still hesitant. It doesn't matter that we've been dating for 8 months. He's still not used to calling him Drew, since only those of us who knew him before he made it big call him that. To everyone else, he's Andrew Brinks, star hockey player forced into early retirement after one too many injuries to his head. So when I saw him approach your table and sit down, then kiss your and Molly's cheek, I lost what little nerve I had. But someone was looking down on me because I soon found myself in the same area of the city for another meeting. I didn't want to get my hopes up, thinking there was no way you'd be there. But you were. So I made it a habit of stopping by the cafe at 8 every morning for 3 weeks on the off chance you'd be there. That's when I realized you went every Friday morning. And so did I. Finally, after 2 months, I worked up enough courage to ask to buy you a cup of coffee, to which you replied, "I never pay for my coffee here." I answer with a smile, recalling our first interaction. You must have thought me so self-centered. Perhaps. He winks, a twinkle in his beautiful blue eyes. But when you heard your words, you got so embarrassed. With just that one look, the way your cheeks flushed, you stole my heart. He brings my hand to his lips, placing a gentle kiss on my knuckles. And I'm so grateful you agreed to go to dinner with me. And I'm grateful you didn't walk away after my response. Never. He releases his hold on my hand. You forget. I'd been observing you for the past several weeks. Stalking, you mean, I joke, taking another sip of my wine. Nuance, my dear Brooklyn. Regardless, I could tell what type of woman you were. I needed you in my life. Overbearing hockey player as a best friend be damned. He finishes with a wink, and I lift my wine to my lips, polishing it off, as if our waiter has an internal alert when one of his patrons needs something. He appears instantly. With a smile, he refills my glass. It's rare for me to drink like this. Normally, I only have a single glass of wine throughout an entire 5-course dinner. But everything about tonight has me on edge. The ambiance, the way Wes looks at me, the way Drew's name keeps creeping into the conversation when we rarely ever talk about him. I need the wine. Will he ever coach in the professionals, Wes asks, digging the knife a little deeper. Unbeknownst to him, I doubt it. I take another long sip of my wine. He's had offers, but has turned them all down. He doesn't want to be away from the girls that much. He already doesn't like being away from them as much as he has to be with coaching college, but he loves the game. A slight smile builds on my lips. I can't remember a time Drew didn't have a pair of skates on, but he loves those girls more. You love him, don't you? I choke on my wine, eyes wide. What? No, not like that, he corrects in haste. It's just amazing how close you two still are. Even all these years later, most friends grow apart over time. I can't say I've remained close with any of the people I went to high school with, but you and Drew, at first, I thought he was your brother. I suppose that's what Drew's always been, I mutter, like a brother. At that moment, 2 waiters approach and simultaneously place a dish in front of us in a carefully orchestrated show. The first time Wes took me to an upscale restaurant like this, I marveled at how perfectly timed everything was. Now I've grown accustomed to it, and it no longer holds excitement. I stare at the pristine white plates as our waiter rattles off what Wes ordered: a diver scallop with a cauliflower puree. The presentation looks too good to eat, like a piece of art, not food. Over the course of the next 2 hours, we eat the exquisite food, keeping our conversation easy. There's no talk of our hopes, our dreams, apart from him asking if I'm excited about starting my PhD program in the fall, to which I answer in the affirmative, with no further embellishment. After we finish our main course and our plates are removed, Wes clears his throat, rubbing his palms along his pants before tugging at his tie. A slight tremble in his hands. He bites his lip, drawing in a deep breath through his nose. He lifts his eyes to mine, his expression awash with sincerity and yearning. Brooklyn. He begins as he reaches across the table to grab my left hand in his, toying with a very important finger. A sinking feeling forms in the pit of my stomach. I should have known something was amiss with the way he's been acting tonight, the nerves seeming to consume him when he's normally carefree and relaxed. These past 8 months have been some of the happiest I can remember. I've enjoyed my time with you, too, Wes. He's spoiled me in a way most women yearn to be spoiled. He brings me to the most exclusive restaurants. He buys me jewelry that probably costs more than what I make in a year. He's taken me to places I've only imagined visiting: Paris, Rome, London, Berlin, but they all seem to lack meaning. I'm not like most girls Wes is used to. I don't need to be bathed in jewels and whisked off on a private jet to some exotic location. I just want to feel loved. When I first saw you, I remember being so jealous of Drew, of how he could so casually drape his arm across your shoulders or kiss your cheek. Wes, I say, a hint of pleading in my tone. If my instincts are correct, if he's about to propose, the last thing I want to be included in that proposal is a mention of Drew. It would taint the whole thing. You were so different from the type of woman I usually dated, but in a good way. They all wore the same type of clothes, styled their hair the same way, every single one of them almost like a cookie-cutter mold. But not you. You were unique. There's that word, the one I've been called most of my life. Not beautiful, not stunning, not breathtaking. Unique. With my pin-straight dark hair, green eyes, fair skin, and freckles dotting my cheeks and nose. I've been called unique more times than I care to count, other than my father. Only one man has ever called me beautiful. Only one man has ever made me feel beautiful. And I believed it, until I learned his words were as fleeting as a passing storm, spoken out of desperation and fear of being alone. When I first walked into that cafe, I remember smelling a hint of lavender, not the coffee I expected. As I passed you, the scent only grew stronger. For weeks, I dreamed of that aroma. When work led me back to that part of the city, back to the same cafe, and you were there again, I had to believe it was a sign we were meant to be together. I remained mute, willing my heart to skip a beat, my skin to flush, my eyes to sparkle with unabashed adoration for this man and his heartfelt words. Instead, I feel as empty as I have since the first time he kissed me. There's no spark, no jolt, no flutter. I'm just going through the motions, hoping to feel something. I thought it back then, and I still do now. Maybe Drew's already ruined love for me. Before I know what's happening and can stop this out-of-control train from continuing its journey off the tracks. Wes shifts from his chair, kneeling in front of me. He reaches into his jacket and produces a small box. The room is suddenly silent. Dozens of eyes staring at me, at him, at us. When he cracks open the box, a chill washes over me. My lips part, but no words come. My brain tries to tell my mouth to talk, my voice box to vibrate and make a sound, to tell him to get up, just like Wes thinks there's a reason our paths crossed. Perhaps there's a reason I find myself incapable of forming words at this crucial moment. This feels surreal, like I'm having an out-of-body experience, a casual observer of my life instead of having a starring role. Brooklyn Rose Tanner. He begins, his breathing increasing as his pale blue eyes lock with mine. I've dreamed of this moment since I first heard your voice, and you consumed my soul. I'd be honored if you'd be my wife. My lungs struggle to capture a breath, my face burning, my limbs trembling. Over Wes's shoulder, I spy all the other diners stealing a glimpse at us, everyone seemingly on pins and needles awaiting my response. So many little girls dream of this moment, of the day their own Prince Charming would get down on one knee in front of them and declare their undying love, begging them to consider spending the rest of their lives together. I've also imagined this moment an unhealthy number of times, mostly when Molly and I would flip through one teen magazine or another, planning our own wedding to whomever was the heartthrob of the month. I didn't think it would be like this. Surrounded by complete strangers in a pretentious restaurant, I envisioned it as a private moment, just us, on a beach or somewhere with meaning. This place holds no meaning for us. Then again, I can't think of any place that does. Maybe that's been my problem since the beginning. I never gave him all of me. I've kept my heart guarded, worried he'd destroy it like the last man I let in. But Wes is willing to devote his life to me. Shouldn't that mean something? Wes is intelligent, has a career he loves, and despite all his money, uses his fortune for good. Best of all, he supports my ambitions. The more I think about it, the more the truth hits me. I've never given Wes a chance. I've never considered us to be serious, even when we went away together. Even when he peers at me as if I'm the only woman for him. Even when he spoils me and whispers the sweetest things in my ears. I've always viewed him as a stepping stone, someone to bridge the gap between my past and my future. Maybe Wes is my future. Brooke. His uncertain voice cuts through my thoughts. I meet his nervous eyes, wishing I could see the answer in them. These are eyes that, over the past 8 months, have looked at me with nothing but the sweetest devotion, nothing but the most tender compassion, nothing but the most beautiful love. We may not be an overtly amorous couple who always discuss our feelings, but I know Wes loves me. That's the only thing that should matter. My lips crack into a smile. Yes. Yes. Joy fills his expression. Yes. Wes. I inwardly cringe at the sound of that. I'll marry you. Tension trickles off his body in waves as he jumps to his feet, pulling me up with him. He wraps his arms around me, pressing his lips against mine, the kiss simple, yet full. With a grin, he removes the stunning marquise-shaped diamond from the box and brings it to my left hand. It's beautiful. I breathe as he slides it down my finger, wincing when it doesn't fit. Shit. Brooke, I'm sorry. He apologizes frantically. I told the girl at the jeweler's it looked small. It's okay, I assure him, kissing his cheek, then place the diamond back into the box, closing it and handing it to him. It's not about the ring, but the ring's nice, isn't it? You like it, right? Cupping his face in my hands, I hover my lips over his. It's exactly what I've always dreamed of. We'll get it resized. Then I'll wear it for the rest of my life. He leans closer, resting his forehead on mine. I like the sound of that. So do I. Acknowledgements. I always said I'd never write a rock star romance. Well, I should know after 6 years in this industry to never say never. My husband actually works in the rock and roll industry. Well, technically, he's a producer-director, but he's spent the past 20 years of his life touring with a very well-known musician. So yes, I married a roadie. I've been backstage at more concerts than I can count, and I swore I'd never write in this particular genre because it hits a little too close to home. And then Asher York made his appearance in Wicked Games, and I knew I had to write my first rock star romance. But I wanted to do something different with mine. I didn't want Asher's status as this incredible musician who rose to the top of the charts to define who he was. He's more than that. Too many people define who they are based on what their profession is, instead of their relationships with other people. I didn't want that to be the case with Asher and Izzy. A big thanks to my hubby, Stan, for marrying me. LOL. In all seriousness, my time spent backstage in Video World, on tour buses, and at pre-show parties really helped me paint the picture I needed. And I almost put in the necessary union blackout you all complain about when you play MSG. It was tempting. On that same note, a huge thanks to my amazing nannies, Carissa and Bree, who come to play with little Harper Leigh so I can have time to write. There's only one woman I trust with my babies, and that's Kim Young. She's an incredible editor who somehow knows exactly what I'm trying to say when my brain refused to fire on all cylinders, which is common. Thank you for all your hard work and for accommodating my crazy schedule. Another huge thanks to the Thelma, to my Louise, my PA, Melissa Crump. I couldn't do any of this without you taking the initiative and doing whatever needs to be done without me asking you. You've made my life infinitely easier this past year. To Emily and the girls at Social Butterfly, thanks for all your hard work and expertise in this release. To my beta readers, Vicky, Lynn, Stacy, Sylvia, and Joelle, thank you so much for your patience. You finally got your Asher York. Thanks so much for all your feedback on this book and for agreeing not to read Mind Games until I finished Dangerous Games. I value your honesty and encouragement. To my fabulous admins, Vicky, Leah, and Joelle, thanks for keeping everything under control while I hide away and write. To my insane voice of reason, A.D. Justice, Even though we're like yin and yang, I love ya. Thanks for always listening and being the first person I go to when I need sound advice. To my review group, thank you so much for taking the time and reading all my books before release. I am truly humbled by all the support you've shown me over the years. Last but not least, thanks to you for picking up this book and taking a chance on me. Whether you've been with me since I published A Beautiful Mess back in 2013, or if this is your first book of mine, I'm so thrilled your love of reading led you to me. Buckle up. We're about to hit the road with Nora's story in Royal Games Peace and Love, TK.